silence or phones? Thank you.
How's everybody? Dee, good morning. Dee, this is your test. Everybody else good? Everybody else good? You guys good? Perfection. Thank you all for that. I appreciate your indulgence.
No problem. Mayor, whenever you're ready.
Good morning, everyone. We thank you all for coming out today. This is a pretty important day, something that we've looked forward to for a while. We've been working on. We've got some really vital information to help us stomp out what we think is a big problem in our community, in many communities, which is the vaping of our young people and young adults. So we've got some good stats we think that are going to help us all, and we just want to kind of go through that with some experts in the field. I'm the spokesman today. Let me introduce a few of the leaders that are with us today. Police Chief Bill Evans, Joliet Township High School Superintendent Dr. Carla Guzman, and Board President Michelle Stiff. Joliet District 86 Superintendent Dr. Tanisha Cannon. We have State Senator Meg Laughlin-Capel. Couldn't be here today though is via video, Dr. Christopher Michael McDonough, MD, Critical Care Medicine, Pulmonary at Midwest Institute of Robotic Surgery at Silver Cross Hospital. And he will give us some of the real details on what this is doing to our young people. We also have a few, hang on a minute, I lost one of my sheets. We have a few other folks, elected officials and people with us in the crowd today. Dr. Caparelli Ruff, Will County Schools, Cesar Cardenas, District 4 Council Member in Joliet, and Beth Beatty, City Manager. So we appreciate everybody being here. With our high school students returning to school on Monday, August 19th, we couldn't think of a better time to talk about the problem facing our students in our community. The problem is the access, abuse, and addiction to e-cigarettes, better known as vapes. The Center for Disease Control's, the CDC, agrees with us that students go back to school. With students going back to school, it's a perfect time for parents and educators to teach them about the dangers of vaping. For those who may not know, e-cigarettes are electronic devices that heat a liquid and produce an aerosol or mix of small particles in the air. The aerosols breathe into the lungs of the person using the device. We are fortunate today. The aerosol contains harmful substances. While use of e-cigarettes is unsafe for everyone, this is especially true for kids, teens, and young adults. They come in various shapes and sizes, which makes them easier to hide and go by names such as e-cigs, e-hookahs, mods, vape pens, tank systems, and electronic nicotine delivery systems, or ENDS. After having said all that, now let me tell you how we came to today's event. Last fall, I received an email from our superintendent, Dr. Carla Guzman, who stated a concern was raised at a meeting about a particular business widely known for selling products to underage individuals. She experienced serious concerns about the health issues related to our students' use of vaping, which is not allowed in our schools. As liquor commissioner, I have the authority to oversee this, so I asked my deputy liquor commissioners to look into it and report back what they found. I'd like now to introduce our police chief, Bill Evans, to discuss what we did find. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Bill Evans. I'm the Chief of Police here in Joliet. I'm happy to provide information of our ongoing efforts to enforce the laws surrounding the sale of tobacco products and vape products to minors in the city of Joliet. It is the responsibility of the Joliet Police Department to ensure the safety and well-being of every member of our community, particularly those more vulnerable populations, such as our youth. Today, I want to emphasize the importance of one of our top priorities, enforcing the laws that keep tobacco products out of the hands of our underage citizens. As you'll hear from others this morning, the significant dangers to the health and overall wellness to young people has been very well documented. Nicotine addiction can lead to lifelong health issues and expose early exposure to the substances that can set the stage for a host of other risky behaviors. This is why the Joliet Police Department is committed to taking a strong, proactive stance against the illegal sale of tobacco products to minors in our city. The Joliet Police Department has previously conducted citywide checks a few times a year in cooperation with the Liquor Commissioner's Office. These checks were funded by a state grant managed by the Joliet Police Department Special Projects Division. The citywide checks came as a result from complaints to the mayor's office from our residents. The legal age to purchase tobacco in the state of Illinois is 21 years old, and we found businesses violating that law, so we began to hold license holders accountable for their employees selling to underage minors. Since September of 2023, we have intensified our enforcement efforts, and I'm proud to report that we have cited 47 violations at various businesses across the city for sale of tobacco products to underage individuals. These citations are the result of rigorous, state-funded, citywide details specifically aimed at ensuring that our local businesses comply with the law and keep these products out of the hands of our youth. The early introduction to tobacco products has been indicated as a risk factor for future and negative behavior and consequences. For example, a 2021 study conducted by the National Institute on Drug Abuse found that young people who vape products are more likely to use other substances in the future, such as alcohol, street drugs, and prescription medication. This clearly demonstrates a slippery slope that can lead to negative consequences for our youth from the underage use of vape and other tobacco products. Let me be clear. We will not tolerate any business that disregards these laws. Our message to those who sell tobacco products is very simple. If you sell to minors, we will catch you, and you will face the consequences. Our ongoing enforcement efforts will continue to be a priority for the city of Joliet, and we will use every resource at our disposal to protect the youth of Joliet from tobacco dangers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate your comments. Next, I want to introduce Joliet Township High School District 204 Superintendent Dr. Carla Guzman and Board President Michelle Stiff. And I got to say, they're part of the reason we're here today because they brought this to our attention. So please accept their comments today. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Michelle Stiff, and I serve as the Joliet Township High School Board President. As both a mother and a school board president, I am deeply concerned about the devastating health risk associated with vaping and e-cigarettes amongst our youth, whose lungs and brains are still developing, and the predators who continue to sell them in our community. The statistics are alarming, and unfortunately, this is a national issue impacting our youth right here in our very own community. According to the CDC, e-cigarettes or vapes have been the most commonly used tobacco product among U.S. youth since 2014. Youth e-cigarette use is a critical public health concern because approximately half of the students ever using e-cigarettes are still currently using them, which indicates that many young people who try e-cigarettes remain e-cigarette users. In 2023, 10% of high school students and 4.6% of middle school students used e-cigarettes during the past 30 days. This is why we must work together to address the epidemic of young youth vaping. We need tougher policies in place, which is why we are so incredibly grateful to Mayor Darcy, the Joliet Police Department, and the City of Joliet for their no-nonsense approach in cracking down on the establishments right here in our community that blatantly disregards the law, putting our youth further at risk by placing these highly addictive and dangerous substances in the hands of our children. Last year, my passion for implementing policies that decrease access to these dangerous substances led me to Springfield, where I testified with Senator Meg Capel on behalf of Senate Bill 3098 that bans the shipping of these products that are sold on the internet. I am happy to report that this bill has passed because no child should have easy access to purchase e-cigarettes or vapes. This is a critical piece of legislation when it comes to decreasing the number of kids engaging in this dangerous behavior. However, we are well aware that our children are purchasing e-cigarettes and vapes in our local stores, and we need to do whatever it takes to address the problem. Today is an exciting step in finding solutions, which is essential to our entire community, but particularly those in the local schools. Our Joliet Township High School Superintendent, Dr. Carla Guzman, and Joliet Elementary District 86 Assistant Superintendent will localize this issue and talk about prevention measures and supports. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to first reiterate a thank you to Mayor Darcy and the Police Department of Joliet to responding to our concerns. This is just further demonstration that we all understand that we must work together for the betterment of our community. Access to vaping devices and materials must be concern for all of us. I'm going to share some data from Joliet Township High School and Joliet Public School District 86, as Dr. Rouse and Dr. Cannon and I are all in agreement that vaping is not just a problem in our high schools, but it is also a problem in our elementary schools and junior highs. We recognize that substance abuse is a growing problem, and we have a full-time substance abuse clinician on staff at JTHS. While we are happy to see that the referrals have decreased this past year, and potentially we believe this may have been because students had a harder time gaining access to vaping devices within our community thanks to the efforts of the City of Joliet and the Police Department. We know that there are students who are still vaping and we're just not aware. The data I am sharing demonstrates that students start experimentation before they enter high school, and because of early access, students are becoming addicted, as shown by the number of students with multiple referrals, many multiple referrals in some cases. We all must be vigilant in protecting our youth. As parents, school leaders, legislators, community members, law enforcement, and the City of Joliet, we all need to work together so students do not have access in our community or in their homes. Prevention also begins with education, which includes educating our parents and community. Devices are hard to detect, and designed to be undetected, as you can see by the pictures of various vaping devices that exist. Therefore, we need to educate families and students. Research shows that parents often overlook everyday items that may indicate that an adolescent is engaging in some form of risky behavior. JTHS will be holding a Community Connections Health and Job Expo on October 22nd. The Hidden in Plain Sight trailer recreates a teen's bedroom to educate parents, guardians, coaches, teachers, and more in identifying signs of alcohol, drug abuse, eating disorders, self-mutilation, violence, sex, and other dangerous behaviors such as vaping. All members of our community are invited to attend, and we can all increase our collective understanding and intervene with our kids. While we have many preventative initiatives in place, new this year, all freshman students at Joliet Township High School will participate in an innovative and unique biology experiment that demonstrates the effect that vaping has on cells. Biology is a requirement for all students. The experiment, developed by Cornell University, gives students tetrahymeny to observe under a microscope, which is a living organism that mimics the body's throat cells. When students introduce the organism to small amounts of condensed e-cigarette vapor, they observe the reaction through microscopes. The tetra actually die off. They slow down and their speeds decrease, showing the effects of vaping has on the cellular level. This will hopefully ensure that students understand that they are engaging in damaging their body when they vape. I want to again thank Mayor Darcy, the City of Joliet, the Police Department, for their immediate attention to concern when I emailed them last fall. Our community must continue to rally around each other to protect and educate our youth. Thank you.
Thank you both. We are fortunate today to have with us a legislator who put our concerns into legislation. Please welcome Senator Meg Lawfren-Capel.
Thank you, Mayor. So my name is Senator Meg Lawfren-Capel, and I represent the 49th State Senate District, which includes communities in Will and Kendall counties. And I do want to say that we are here today because of partners within the community who are invested in making our community better, and I'm just very honored to be here and be a part of this press conference today. So we're here today because the internet has made it extremely easy for kids to access vapes. As technology has developed, vapes are being made to look like everyday objects. Superintendent Carla Guzman and School Board President Michelle Stiff brought this to my attention, that kids were still accessing vapes, even though it was illegal, we know, for retail shops to sell them. We were finding that high schoolers are accessing these vapes that are supposed to look like regular objects, like highlighters, erasers, and pencil sharpeners. So vapes that look like these school supplies make it hard for teachers to decipher what that object is. So after hearing from local elected officials who were seeing this uptick of usage in vapes in schools, it was clear we had to find other guardrails to put into place to protect kids from the dangers of smoking. That's why I sponsored Senate Bill 3098, which prohibits electronic cigarettes, which are purchased by mail or online and being sent through remote sale methods, from being shipped to anyone in the state other than a retailer or a distributor. So let me say that again. It prohibits electronic cigarettes purchased by mail, online, or through other remote sale methods from being shipped to anyone in the state other than a retailer or a distributor. And then Representative Natalie Manley, who is in the 98th District, who also represents Joliet, she carried that bill in the House, and I want to thank her also for her leadership with this as well. She couldn't be here today. So the bill was signed into law Friday, and it goes into effect January 1st, 2025. And this then builds upon the Smoke-Free Illinois Act that bans smoking cigarettes and vaping indoors. So as of January 1st of this year, people can no longer vape or use e-cigarettes in public places, workplaces, and near any entrances, windows, or ventilation areas. So again, I just want to reiterate how important it is for a community to come together to see a problem and try to come with some sort of solution to solve it. And I feel like that's what we've done here today, and I'm so grateful for the partnerships here in the community. And so I continue to look forward to these conversations to help protect our kids from vaping and the health risks that come with it. And again, thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Capel, for being here. We really appreciate all you've done for all of us. Our next presenter could not be with us today in person due to his work schedule, but he wanted to share important health information with all of you. We have a short video by Dr. Christopher Michael McDonough, critical care medicine pulmonologist at Silver Cross Hospital in New Lenox. So if we could, let's play that video, please.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak about a health issue that is so important for the youth of our community. I think it would be surprising to many to learn the extent, the depth, the breadth of vape pen or e-cigarette use amongst our adolescents and young adults. As many as 1 in 5 young adults between the ages of 18 and 24 use a vape pen or an e-cigarette on a regular basis, and as many as 1 in 10 do so daily. Those numbers are very similar amongst the youths ages 17 to 18. This is not an innocuous issue. What we understand is that there are clear health problems associated with vaping, especially in the youth of our community. While nicotine dependence is certainly an issue, and we can talk about that at length, and we have and will, we also should understand the importance of vaping in e-cigarettes in the worsening of underlying respiratory disease. We know, for instance, that young adults who have asthma or bronchitis are much more likely to have an irritation or an exacerbation of their underlying disease if they're actively vaping or actively using e-cigarettes. We also know that there are strong associations with lung injury associated with this, and certainly the epidemic of vaping-related lung injury that we saw in 2019 and 2020 is an example of that. I personally took care of many patients in the intensive care unit who suffered from substantial respiratory problems associated with vaping and e-cigarette use. There are also a high number of problems over a longer period of time. We understand that those individuals who are vaping or using e-cigarettes as young adults and youths are much more likely to be using combustible tobacco products as a 25-year-old. In some studies, as many as 5 to 7 times an increased rate of smoking cigarettes at the age of 25 were seen in those individuals who are vaping at the age of 17. Similarly, the risk of using combustible marijuana is also 3 to 4 times higher in those individuals who are vaping as a young adult or as a child. Ultimately, our lungs are meant to breathe in the air and nothing else. And if we can help our community to avoid using these substances and keep our children safe, I'm all for it. I would personally like to thank Mayor Terry Darcy and the various community leaders championing this very important initiative. Thank you so much for making the health of our young adults in our community a priority.
We want to thank Dr. McDonough for that video presentation. It really tells us what's going on, and we really need to get that message out there. In closing, I want to first thank all the speakers for their presentations. We may be a big city, but we work closely together for the betterment of the residents we serve. We're asking all parents, grandparents, and guardians to be aware of what your children are doing. Listen to the medical professionals and school leaders and teach our kids about the long-term harmful effects of these products. We will do all we can from the city side to hold these businesses accountable. These actions have been and will include increasing penalties and fines up to and including revocation of a business's tobacco license. For example, on July 23rd, the city revoked the license of a business for a third violation in sales to a minor within a 12-month period. We will all remain vigilant in sending a strong message to all businesses selling nicotine products that we will not tolerate these violations. We will continue to partner with our schools, our community partners, and our law enforcement to address the growing problem. In addition, we have instituted a tip hotline and email address for anyone to report suspected violations to the Liquor Commissioner's office. Many times we get these tips and it moves us into action to help find the perpetrators of these problems. So on the screen you'll see the tip line numbers 815-486-1053. The email address is vapetips@joliet.gov. I want to thank you all for coming, and if anybody has any questions, I've got a panel of experts with me that can help if I don't have the answer. Thank you. Sure, Bob.
Mayor, you've done, I think your office has done several of these sting operations since September. If you see any lesser use, lesser violations while you've been doing those.
We've done, I don't have the exact number. Chief, do you have those numbers? We've done 7 and 10 sting operations. 2 of them were helped by the state police, which we did over 100 in one sweep one night. We have had, how many violations?
47 violations written and from 37 different businesses.
We've had 47 written violations from 37 different businesses. We've got a couple that are 2-timers right now. We've had the 3-timer that we pulled their license and they're no longer in business in our community. So we will continue to push hard to make sure that we all work together and don't let this continue to happen in our community. And the word is out there, so they're getting better at it, but we still want to stomp it out completely.
Have you seen fewer violations when you go out, or are you seeing any improvement in the situation?
The last time we did 10, we had 3 violations. One was a 1-timer, one was a 2-timer, and that's when we closed one down. So yeah, we're coming into smaller percentages of them violating the rules.
Mayor, do you remember the name of the business that's been recently busted, shut down then, and where it's located?
I don't. Do we have that name? I don't have that. I can get that for you. We don't have it. I don't have it here.
To what extent are you expecting or hoping to see people in the, businesses in the surrounding areas, in the unincorporated areas, also heeding the word, or are young people, or do you worry that young people will simply, travel a little bit out of town?
Well, that's a good question. I think we should pose that question to our county officials and our other cities. I think we're trying to set the stage and an example of what we all need to do as a community to stop this from anybody getting this in their hands before they should even try it. Yeah, Bob.
Is vaping any worse than the prominent cigarette use of previous generations?
I don't have a complete answer on that, but I don't think it's going to help anybody, and it sounds like it leads to more conducive chances of smoking cigarettes. But as we reflected from the school system here, they're going to do a program in their biology class to show kids exactly what it does, and it's really harmful to their growth in their body. So hopefully they'll learn from that. Hopefully they'll take that tip and say, I don't want that to happen to me. And it's mandatory that they're in the biology class, so every kid is going to be exposed to what this can do to harm them. Yes.
Mayor, I just wanted to say that the ROE recently purchased juvenile justice online so that all of the districts and superintendents can work with this program so that the students would get diversions and no longer get tickets in the schools. So I think that that is being rolled out as we speak.
Great. That comes from our county superintendent of schools. So we know that we're all going to be working together to do the same things throughout the county.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? With that, I want to thank you all for coming, thank all the presenters, and we appreciate all the help. We want to continue for all of us to get this message out to clean this up in our communities in Joliet, Will County, and everywhere actually. So thank you.